Enjoy your meeting.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for the JA Titan Challenge Mentor Briefing. My name is Michelle Anderson, and I'm the Marketing and Program Director here at Junior Achievement.
And I'm Kevin Heatley. I run IT at Gorham Savings Bank and is the Titan Challenge Chair this year.
So the Titan Challenge is a business simulation competition that puts high school students in the CEO seat to run a virtual company for the day. Each team is made up of 3 students, and this year we have 129 teams competing.
From around the state, there's going to be 7 different locations, campuses around the state that have those teams.
So each team is matched with a business mentor that is there to kind of help the students through the decision-making process as they run this virtual company. So as you can see up on the screen is the agenda for the day. We'll start off with registration and a welcome. We do use a Polycom system, so all the locations can watch each other competing. We'll start off with some local speakers. We will break the students up so they can learn a little bit more about Titan around 9 o'clock. And then at 9:45, we'll do an overview and start the practice round.
So the way the competition is set up is the students will have businesses that they will be running that we have different rounds throughout the day. And each round is separate from each other, and they will be added up at the end for final scores, depending on how they do. But the first round that we'll do at 9:45 is just a practice round. It doesn't count. It's just to get you and them acclimated with the system and with the way that the system works. So we'll go through and we'll explain that day. We'll explain all this, most of this stuff to them that day as well. But the other sections you see on the agenda where it just says game are going to be future rounds that we do. So the students don't know how long the rounds will be. But the rounds you'll see are going to be broken up into quarters. So if you think about them running a business, each quarter is extending the life of their business, and we control the game to know how many quarters there'll be. So some rounds may only have 4 or 5 quarters, some may have 9 or 10 quarters, or somewhere in between. So it's important for the students not to know how many quarters there are, because they could try to make the system work to their advantage and try to pile on everything in the last quarter. So we control the timing of the game. So the rest of the day, you see we have lunch in the middle of the day with a campus tour that you're free to go to if you want. Also at the end of the day, we have speakers, statewide speakers. There's a local speaker in the afternoon, and then we finish with an awards ceremony that we'll talk about how we do the awards later, but the awards ceremony at 2:30, we finish up at 2:45. So when you get into the competition, each round, in each quarter, the businesses will be selling these things called holo generators. You can see on the screen what those are, and as Michelle mentioned, each team is made up of 3 high school students and yourself as a mentor. And there's 129 teams around the state signed up right now. So when you get into the game, the biggest thing that you get ranked by is the performance index. And that performance index is made up of 5 different components that you see here on the screen. There's retained earnings, supply and demand, potential, productivity, market share, and growth. And Michelle's going to click through these so you can see them as we go. But there'll be a little bit of information. Some have more than others. But the big thing I want to point out here is that everyone should realize that they are weighted, so that demand potential being about 10% isn't nearly as important as something else. So you need to make sure that they realize that that's going to be important for how they run their business and how they get ranked. So everything's important, but not equally important. So just keep that stuff in mind as you help them out throughout the day. So we'll go over these again the day of the event as well.
So when you get there that day and meet your team, on each of the tables will be a table tent with the website to go to and a username and password. You'll put that information on this screen that you see here. And then when you get into it, you will see kind of your first page here. The rankings down on the bottom part of the page are the 8 teams that are competing during that round. You'll see the decisions up towards the top that the students will be making. So you will hit play game when it is time.
just to point out on that screen as well, the what we call the bottom is what's called an industry, so that you'll see different teams from around the state in your industry, and then each round will have a different, obviously your team will be in the industry you see, but it'll always be different competition for you. So we just changed things up a bit, and then you see the play game button in orange there on the screen. So when they get into the game, the first screen you see here is some information. So every quarter in the beginning of the game, you'll see somebody from the company on the simulation telling you something that's going on with the environment, with the company, with the world in general. So they'll share information with you. Then you go ahead and you'll get into the game itself, the simulation, to be able to put in the parameters that you want for each of those things that you see there, unit price all the way down to charitable giving. On this screen, you'll see a bunch of different information that you can have the team look at to analyze where they are and what they need to do going forward. So across the top, you see different tabs that they can click on to get information. Then on the left-hand side, underneath that picture of the building, is the rankings, the current rankings. So in the beginning, everyone's tied for first, but then after each quarter, you're going to see new rankings based on how they're doing, so that you can see how if they're at the bottom working their way up, or if they're at the top, or wherever, so that they know throughout the round how they're doing quarter by quarter. So when you're ready to do the submit of the information, you click the orange submit button there, and they will submit that for that quarter.
So the way we score Titan, there's, like Kevin mentioned, multiple rounds of play, and we're going to do one practice round. After each quarter, the highest PI will get...
Actually, each round.
Each round will get 7 points. The next will get 6 all the way down to 1. The winning team, obviously, is the team with the most points. We will break ties by comparing the second to last round of retained earnings to the industry total retained earnings. Anything else to
No, that's
add?
accurate there. So we're just going to add up the points throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, and we can actually keep track of that for people to see. Between rounds, we'll put the standings up of the top teams so that they can keep an eye on things.
So at the end of the day, the top 3 teams will receive scholarships that are donated by Maine Education Services. We will also announce a regional winner at each of the 7 locations. This is aside from the 3 teams that have won the scholarships. We'll pick a team, a regional winner at each of those locations, and they will be come up and get an award as well.
That's based on the total points of the PI or that we awarded throughout the day.
So a few tips as you get into the game and get going. Sometimes your laptop does freeze, so we ask that you get out of the browser and get back in. If that doesn't work, try rebooting your computer and signing back in. If you do run out of time and don't hit that submit button like Kevin mentioned, it will submit your default settings or the same numbers that you had from the previous round. So it's not like it'll put in all zeros or something. Your actual numbers will get submitted there.
So sometimes we do have issues. I mean, we've seen in the past people have issues with their laptop or with the wireless connection because everyone's connecting wirelessly at these universities, or even with the server the game's being run off of out in Colorado. What we tell people is that sometimes happens in business. You have unforeseen things happen that you have to deal with, and your computer freezes. You might miss a quarter, and then you have to go back and catch up. So that's something that they will have to deal with, possibly, and then you can help them through those issues. And the other thing that I'll say is that, if they have an issue like that and they're trying to figure out what happened, it's not always easy to get help from us the day of to be able to pinpoint what happened to a team and why they had problems. We can try to help, but we prefer that you try to help them as much as you can before bringing anything to us. But what does happen sometimes is teams go bankrupt. In any given round, depending on the decisions they make or the economic environment that they're working in that we put as part of the simulation, their team will go bankrupt. That does mean that they will not be able to finish that round, but it doesn't mean that they're done for the day. they'll be able to pick up fresh the next round. Every round, as I mentioned before, is separate from the previous round, so it starts brand new. So they may only get a couple of points for that round, but the next round they could still win and continue on, collecting multiple points. So just keep that in mind as you help them out. And the other thing I'll say is that as a mentor, you have some business experience that you can bring to them, help them with their understanding of how to run their business. You may be able to give them some advice on what works best for charitable giving versus R&D versus whatever. But it's important that you just offer some advice as opposed to trying to play the game for them. This is something that they need to do, and they should definitely be looking to you for help, but not necessarily to do things. And then usually we see that these teams will come in here with plans, with specific missions in mind. And definitely help them with that, or educate them if they're maybe misled on what they're thinking. But that's your role here today.
We do ask that each team brings a laptop, and the students are aware of that, so they will come with a laptop the day of. If you would like to bring a laptop just in case, for some reason there's some technical difficulties with their laptop, that would be great, but it's certainly not mandatory. And like you saw on the agenda, we do provide lunch for all the Titan participants. We ask the day of if you keep your cell phones on silent during the competition. And students will come dressed in business attire, as this is a business simulation, so we ask that you do the same.
Great. And so we want to thank you very much for being a Titan mentor. And we have 129 teams, as we mentioned, that each team really needs a mentor. So if you have somebody you know that would like to help out, please have them contact Michelle at JA.
And if you have any questions about being a mentor, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. We look forward to Titan, and best of luck to your teams. Thank you.
Thank you.